Now at 10, an angry rattlesnake shows up outside a Target store. See the nail-biting capture. And Florence is no longer a named storm.
But the remnants are still powerful tonight, triggering deadly tornadoes. We're tracking its path. And a father forced to sell his beloved Mustang years ago to support his family, brought to tears after his children, now grown, found his car.
But first tonight, new details about that local priest at the center of a sex abuse scandal.
Many of you have been wondering, where did Father Manuel La Rosa Lopez go after he was first accused in 2001 before returning to the ministry 3 years later?
Lauren Tallarico is live in Conroe, where this investigation began, with some answers tonight. Lauren?
Well, La Rosa Lopez hasn't called this church home for some 17 years, but still, we were the only ones here today as investigators removed boxes of evidence.
It's important that the community knows that we're going to continue to follow this case wherever it goes.
Today, that promise led the district attorney's office to Sacred Heart Catholic Church in Conroe, ground zero for where Father Manuel La Rosa Lopez allegedly sexually abused 2 children.
To me, it's just an abuse of authority, and we see it over and over again.
Investigators removed decades-old evidence looking for a link between La Rosa Lopez and his accusers. He was a priest at Sacred Heart from 1998 until 2001. That's the year a 16-year-old girl reported the sexual abuse to the archdiocese, who says they then reported it to CPS. Lopez was removed from this church, but then popped back up as a priest at St. John Fisher in Richmond 3 years later. So what happened in between? Today, the archdiocese said in 2001, Lopez was in residential treatment, although details as to what that means weren't provided. He was then assigned to administrative work for the archdiocese before being assigned to his most recent church in Fort Bend County. Last week, Conroe police removed evidence from there, too, as they continue building a case against Father La Rosa Lopez.
Throughout the last several days, we've received more information, which continues to lead us to investigate and follow up on all leads.
The second victim only came forward last month, but says he was abused between 1998 and 2001 at this church. Now, the DA is asking anybody with information about this investigation to call police. Len, back to you.
More new details tonight, Lauren. Thank you. And new tonight, growing tensions between the Santa Fe ISD School Board and family members of the victims killed in that mass shooting earlier this year.
Kobe Rosenboom, Brianna Quintanilla, Clay Horn.
Please let him speak.
That is Scott Rice, the husband of injured substitute teacher Flo Rice. He was nearly escorted out of the meeting when he insisted on reading the names of the victims. He and others at the meeting were critical of the board for not doing enough to punish a couple of students this year accused of having what some believe a hit list. Several parents called on board members to resign.
Right now, Houston police are searching a pond on the northwest side for a man who went under and never resurfaced. The pond is on private property off of Gessner Road. Dive teams put a boat in the water trying to find him. Our sources tell us police think the man is homeless and was with someone who was able to call for help. A 1-year-old is recovering this evening after getting pinned between 2 cars outside Ponderosa Elementary School in Spring. Deputies tell us a mother was adjusting the car seat when her child wandered away and walked into the path of another car that was backing up. The child was taken to Texas Children's Hospital with some facial injuries, but we're told the injuries are not life-threatening.
A Border Patrol agent accused of being a serial killer has confessed to shooting 4 women, according to police in Laredo. Detectives telling reporters today that Juan David Ortiz gained the trust of his victims, targeting women involved in drugs or sex work. Deputies showed photos of those women whose bodies were found dumped on the side of the road, saying it's possible more victims could be out there. Investigators say Ortiz had an arsenal of weapons ready to go in a shootout in case he was caught during an arrest. Police say he tried to have officers kill him instead of taking him in. Ortiz is being held on $2.5 million bond.
And now to an exclusive interview with a former Mormon bishop from Sugar Land who says he was kicked out of the church for calling out leaders. It's all over conversations held with children that he says are way too sexually explicit and go too far. Larry Seward is live in Sugar Land tonight with both sides of the story. Larry?
Mia, Mormon church leaders condemn any abuse, they say, but not the policy that allows bishops to have closed-door meetings with kids. They say this policy is for kids between 12 and 15 years old and centers mostly on spiritual things, including one question about sex, a question that some say has become perverted. That list of questions.
What type of pornography do you watch?
Too graphic to show on TV.
Each one of these is a story from a kid.
Got Sam Young so upset.
What the hell? How can we possibly condone a question like that?
Brother Young, a former bishop, talked himself into excommunication from the church he served for 65 years.
People should be sent to jail for subjecting our children to this kind of thing. Any other church, they would fire the minister if they ask these questions.
The Mormon church allows bishops to interview kids 12 to 15 years old behind closed doors. It's mostly a spiritual talk with one question about sex. But in the last 2 years, Young's collected hundreds of complaints from kids, including some from his own daughters, who claim talks often went too far. When Young demanded the church change policies to involve parents in those interviews, leaders spoke up.
Keep speaking about this in public. We are going to have to take action and protect the good name of the church.
A spokesperson for the church told us they condemn abuse and in a statement posted online claimed in recent months the church has taken important steps to improve these interactions and to strengthen relationships between young people and their parents and leaders and will continue to do so. Their policy now allows youth to invite a parent into one of those interviews. But it's not enough for Young. He wants doors opened on all interviews with kids and is risking his faith to make it happen. Young's excommunication is not permanent, if you're wondering. He can appeal, and next year he can be welcomed back, he says, if he repents, but that's not something he's willing to do unless the church changes its policy on these meetings. We are live in Sugar Land tonight. Larry Seward, KHOU 11 News.
Taking a strong stance. Larry Seward, thanks so much. We are tracking the remnants of Florence, still dumping lots of rain on the Carolinas.
And tonight the water is still rising. Tomorrow the Cape Fear River in Cumberland County, North Carolina will crest, swamping any buildings within a mile of its banks. Florence has now killed at least 31 people.
The storm also spawned this, caught on camera, a deadly tornado ripping the roof right off a building. This is in Midlothian, Virginia, not far from Richmond. Police say a man died when a building he was in collapsed. Thousands of people in the area are dealing with power outages tonight. And closer to home, we're getting a break from all the recent rain we've had, but this break, well, it won't last for long.
Not going to last long, David. What are you tracking for later this week?
Enjoy it while it lasts. I know a lot of people that were so happy to get a break from the rain over the weekend. Amity Bank, Weatherbug camera, West Side looking good tonight. We're dry. Didn't get any rain tonight. In fact, Ellen took this picture and sent us to it from Surfside Beach on Saturday. She took up this little rainbow. I thought this was just the most beautiful picture. Elin, thanks for sending me this pic. This was the last of a little shower on Saturday, and now we're drying out. Sunday was beautiful. Today's been beautiful. It's summer-like, though, so we're muggy overnight tonight, very humid. It will be hot and sticky midweek. That's tomorrow and Wednesday, and then rain chances return late week. That's Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I'll show you what we're expecting, the timing on the rain's arrival. We'll look ahead to the extended forecast for the weekend forecast, and we'll check that spot, an update on that spot in the tropics and the Caribbean. I've got some good news to share with you. All that coming up in a couple of minutes.
Oh, we can't wait for the good news. Thank you, David. A pack of dogs attack a boy headed to his bus stop, then go after a deputy.
It is just part of your nightcap in 90 seconds. Right now, a 13-year-old boy and a deputy constable are both recovering. It comes after a pit bull managed to get out of a backyard in Spring and bite both of them.
One of them came behind me and bit my left leg.
While that teen went to the hospital, those dogs reportedly started chasing neighbors.
That was scary.
Montoya says he called 911 and told me one of the responding deputies got out of the car.
Well, they were deciding to charge him, and one of them bit him. That's when the cop took out his gun and shot one of the dogs.
This is such a frightening story. To fight off those Africanized bees, he says around 600 stings. They swarmed and attacked him, even in his mouth and down his throat.
Just felt like everything was biting you. All kinds of attacks everywhere.
This
Senate Judiciary Committee will hold a public hearing next week with Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh and Christine Blasey Ford, the woman accusing Kavanaugh of attempted sexual assault when they were teenagers. Kavanaugh has continued to deny the allegations in a phone call with Senate Republican staffers. President Trump says he is sticking with Kavanaugh, but called for the Senate to complete its work.
The cast of the hit CBS comedy Young Sheldon in town today, awarding local schools with STEM grants.
And this afternoon, the cast is here with us. Take a look who we've got.
Hey, guys.
Hey, guys. Get Armitage.
You guys want to come over here and help me do the weather? That's the chroma key. You want to press it? Okay, you are going to press the button. There it is. Huh? And look, it's Hot and Monkey out there. Very, very nice to meet you guys. You're welcome.